From an out-of-control tire flying through a building and a massive earthquake rocking Indonesia, to the shocking moment a tornado passes a residential street and a hungry elephant bursts through a man's home. Here are 10 terrifying moments that were caught on security cameras. In Bendigo, Australia, a city about 2 hours north of Melbourne, patrons at Goldfields Cycle Sports and Cafe Velo had their late-night drinks interrupted by an unexpected guest. On April 30th of 2021, around 10 p.m., a rogue tire flew off a car during a freak accident outside the pub. CCTV footage from inside the restaurant captured the tire's destructive journey as it narrowly missed people, tables, and expensive decorations. If you've ever sat through Rubber, the French film about a murderous tire, you'd swear you're watching a deleted scene. The tire races across the parking lot and slips through a small opening in the sliding door. It taps a hanging flower pot as it bounces across the dining room and toward the back of the bar. A man walks through the door and enters the bathroom. Had he paused for 2 seconds, the out-of-control tire would have smacked him in the face. Finally, the tire bounces over the cash register and almost hits a worker before ending its rampage. The average tire weighs between 20 and 22 pounds. So imagine a 20-pound piece of rubber about the size of your chest careening toward you at 30 miles per hour. You'd probably dive out of the way, too. The Blunt Island Marine Terminal in Jacksonville, Florida, is one of the largest vehicle import-export centers in the United States. Plenty of cargo moves in and out without a hitch every day. Well, every day except August 13th of 2008. On that fateful Wednesday afternoon, strong winds blew across the city. They were so powerful that they pushed a 950-ton container crane along its rail, causing it to crash into its neighbors. What happened next went down in Floridian history as the Blunt Island Crane Catastrophe. Shaky CCTV footage shows port workers moving about, business as usual. Then, the forklift guns it across the tarmac as the crane rolls in from the right. It crashes into the neighboring crane, causing a reaction similar to Newton's cradle. Then, the first 2 cranes collapse into a twisted mess of steel. We wish there was some footage from that truck driver's perspective. Each of those cranes cost about $6 million, so there's $12 million out the window. The Jacksonville Port Authority had to pay an additional $1.6 million to clean the mess and repair the other affected cranes. Thankfully, the cranes weren't in use, and nobody was hurt during the collapse. On February 25th of 2022, a 6.2 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of West Sumatra, Indonesia. Patrons at a convenience store in the Pasaman Regency were going about their business when the ground began shaking. CCTV footage from inside the store captured 4 terrifying shots as people fled for cover. All seems normal as our cashier watches 2 children leave the store. Then, the earthquake strikes without warning, causing everyone to flee. The cashier grabs her child and runs for cover, but decides to hunker down between the shelves instead. We see the same scene from another angle as items fly off the shelves and the earthquake causes the image quality to drop. The third image shows how violent a 6.2 magnitude quake is as the camera shakes out of control. The fourth camera, stationed outside the store, films 2 men fleeing into the street, the safest place they could possibly be. Finally, a compilation shot shows everyone shifting from normal to panicked simultaneously. Sadly, the Sumatra earthquake claimed at least 19 lives and injured over 400 people. Residents in Pasaman refused to walk away from their damaged homes, fearing the government wouldn't count them for reimbursement. Tamil Nadu is a state in southern India, home to about 81.5 million people and almost 2,800 elephants. You may think, that's a strange fact to mention. Well, some of those elephants like to integrate themselves among the locals. Samuel Babu and his family turned in for the night on June 26th of 2022. He had left some oil cakes out that he planned to feed his cows, but then another massive animal stole them off the counter. Imagine it's almost 3 a.m. and you hear something break through your kitchen wall. You walk downstairs expecting to find a team of home invaders, only to see an elephant trunk sniffing around your kitchen. It starts knocking pots and pans off the counter as it looks for something delicious to eat. Then, the elephant gets tired of sniffing around, so it smashes a bigger hole so it can see into the kitchen. From outside, we watch the elephant grab a bag of flour or rice and try to eat it. The poor guy doesn't realize he's just spilling it on the ground. Samuel said his kitchen was totally damaged during the snatch and grab. He's convinced the elephant smelt those oil cakes, causing it to break through the wall. Meanwhile, he and his family watched the entire ordeal off camera. Thankfully, no elephants or people were hurt during the making of this video. On April 29th of 2022, a severe tornado outbreak swept across eastern Kansas and Nebraska. In Andover, a small Kansas town about 20 minutes east of Wichita, a powerful EF3 tornado tore across the ground for 21 terrifying minutes. In one neighborhood, a couple's Ring doorbell camera caught the storm passing in the distance. For such a tiny camera, it captured some pretty compelling footage. According to the Washington Post, between 50 and 100 homes and businesses were damaged or destroyed during the storm. The Andover YMCA took the brunt of the damage as staff and members sought shelter from the tornado. The National Weather Service reported winds peaking at 155 miles per hour as the storm traced a near 13-mile path of destruction across the ground. At its widest, the tornado measured 440 yards, or about 4.5 football fields. 3 people sustained injuries, but thankfully nobody lost their lives. Guangxi is an autonomous region of southern China, sharing a border with northeastern Vietnam. On August 17th of 2017, just after 2 a.m., a massive sinkhole opened in the middle of the road. According to local media, a burst water main eroded the soil beneath, causing the road to collapse. However, this story doubles as a comment on distracted driving and how dangerous it can be. Imagine being so distracted by your phone that you neglect to see a massive hole in the ground. A security camera above the crosswalk captures the moment when the street caves in. Thankfully, nobody was driving through the intersection when it collapsed. You would think anybody with 2 eyes could see it up ahead. Maybe if our scooter driver wasn't checking his phone, he would have noticed the 16-foot hole in the ground. Instead, he drives into it and disappears like a cartoon. The guys watching the video can't help but share a laugh, and neither can we. Thankfully, the driver was able to climb out uninjured, though we can't say for sure what happened to his scooter. According to reports, the sinkhole was 16 feet wide, 26 feet long, and more than 6 feet deep. Restaurant owners worldwide were some of the hardest hit people during the pandemic. Every dollar counted, and the most minor mistakes could spell financial catastrophe. On September 21st of 2021, this noodle shop owner in Sung Noen, Thailand, drew the crap end of the stick. The owner said they were getting ready to open around 6 a.m. when a pipe burst beneath the street, causing a powerful geyser to shoot up and flood the area. Their dining room was underwater before they even knew what happened. A duo on a motorbike drives away just as the flooding begins. Inside the restaurant, we can see the water moving loose objects as the employees scramble to salvage what they can. Unfortunately, all that water filled the restaurant with mud, and the staff spent the rest of the day scooping thick brown sludge off the floor. According to reports, the property damage wasn't that bad. We can assume the noodle shop was back up and running within the next few days. Hopefully, they're still open as of today. In Mildura, Australia, a small town in northwestern Victoria, a massive dust storm loomed overhead, turning day to night in a matter of minutes. It was around 5 p.m. The sun was shining and everything seemed normal until people noticed an ominous cloud moving across the horizon. One man said it seemed to be swallowing Mildura, and he couldn't have been more spot on. A stationary camera films the dust cloud as it approaches the neighborhood. You can't see anything through the thick dust. Soon, you can't see anything at all. It looks like the sun randomly sets, with the only light coming from the lamppost and passing cars, though we can't imagine those drivers could see anything in front of them. The cloud finally passes, and the sun shines through. It turns out sunset was right around the corner anyway. It took about 20 minutes for the cloud to pass, with some calling it the worst dust cloud Mildura's seen in 40 years. Meanwhile, staff at a local car dealership scrambled to clean 100 cars coated in what the owner called a chocolate brown film. Anna is a small village in western Ohio and home to about 1,500 people. On January 7th of 2020, a house fire broke out on Route 17, better known as Sidney Freyberg Road to locals. The fire began in the garage around 3:30, and the 911 call came in 2 minutes later. The homeowner's son ran out the front door and looked back at the smoking house. He wisely thought to move their truck away from the blaze while on the phone with someone, perhaps his parents or the fire department. Moments later, the fire engulfs the garage and causes several bullets to ignite and explode. Firefighters finally arrived on the scene and began battling the blaze.
There's no fire in here yet!
Smoke covers the entire front yard. We can't imagine how these firefighters can even see what they're doing. Not to mention the fact that live ammunition keeps going off in the garage. They appear to get the blaze under control, and the footage cuts when the house finally loses power. According to the owners, the house sustained mostly smoke and water damage since the fire itself was contained to the garage. The fire department couldn't determine how the fire started and ultimately ruled it as an accident. You know that feeling when you're so relaxed that you can't help but fall asleep? Well, that's how Matt Beat felt when he dozed off by his pool in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Then, his Ring doorbell camera caught an unexpected guest wandering into his backyard. A black bear walks around the hot tub and checks out the pool. It looks like he dips his paws in the water, but the pool must have been too cold even on a warm June day. Then he sets his sights on Matt and creeps up along his lounge chair. The bear sniffs and then touches Matt's right foot, waking him up from his nap. He grabs his phone, but the bear bolts before he can take a good picture. He was probably thrilled to see that his Ring doorbell was still recording. You might not think of black bears when you picture southern New England, but according to the Massachusetts government, there are about 4,500 black bears in the state. Most live out west around towns like Greenfield, but they've been slowly migrating east over the years. Look out, Boston, the bears are coming to town. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.